take you back to a moment that I'll never forget. Picture this, a sleek glass-walled boardroom, an executive team seated around a polished mahogany table, and a pitch deck loaded with months of work glowing on the screen behind me. My palms were sweaty. Cue Eminem. My heart was doing a convincing impression of a jackhammer, and across from me sat the company's CFO, a man known for asking very tough questions and never blinking first. The stakes, multi-million-dollar approval, my credibility, the future direction of a key product line. I had two choices. I could default to passive politeness and hope the CFO would be gentle. I know he wouldn't be. Or number two is channel my inner assertive warrior and stand my ground with clarity and calm. So guess which one I picked? Okay, yes, I had highly considered the politeness route to see if I could just squeak past, especially when my self-doubt really set in and this vision of me like wanting to run just happened in my head. But here's the twist. When I chose assertiveness over defensiveness or being passive, everything shifted. I didn't bulldoze. I didn't apologize for taking up space. And I didn't back down when challenged. I stuck to the facts. I stated the facts. I acknowledged the concerns. And I held a firm, confident tone. The result was approval granted. And actually, the team thought the presentation was amazing. And if I'm not mistaken, even a rare nod of respect from that CFO that was such a tough person in the boardroom. Probably a very nice person, but not so nice when you're asking for funding and support. So why does assertiveness become your superpower in these high stakes scenarios? So whether you're in the boardroom, you're negotiating a raise, you're leading through conflict, or you're navigating a high pressure sales call, assertiveness is not optional. It's essential. And here's why. Assertive people are seen as more competent. According to a study published by the Journal of Applied Psychology, assertiveness is positively associated with those perceptions of leadership and professional competence. So it's that sweet spot between being overly aggressive and painfully passive. So when you're assertive, you're not just heard, but you're respected. And assertiveness improves decision-making under pressure. Research from the University of Texas found that assertive individuals are less likely to crumble under pressure and more likely to make confident and timely decisions in crisis situations. So it's like having an internal compass that doesn't spin out when the stakes go up. And high performers, they use assertiveness as a strategy. Top negotiators, CEOs, and elite military leaders have something in common. They're assertive as communicators. In fact, Harvard Business Review, they note that assertive leadership, it leads to better team performance and conflict resolution because it fosters clarity without hostility. How about that? And assertiveness, it reduces burnout. So it's not just about external success. A study from the Journal of Occupational Health and Psychology shows that people who speak up for their needs, aka those assertive folks, they experience less stress and burnout over time. So when you stop saying yes to everything and start saying yes to what matters, you, yes you, actually win. So you might be sitting there thinking, okay, But what if I'm not naturally assertive? Because many of us are not. I know I wasn't. But here's the good news. Assertiveness is a skill. It's not a personality trait. That means it's something that you can learn. So start small. Use I statements, such as I think or I need, versus saying things like you never or why don't you. That can help you in many different conversations because you're appearing as you are asking for what you actually need or conveying your own thoughts rather than accusing someone. Because sometimes when you put it on them of saying you never or why don't you, it sounds like really accusatory, and sometimes the conversation that could be very calm and collective becomes almost like a disagreement, right? You can also practice the pause. So silence isn't weakness, it is presence. So take that few seconds to pause, breathe, and reflect before you speak all the time, so it becomes a new habit. And body language, it matters. So eye contact, upright posture, and a calm tone of speaking. It speaks volumes because you really wear on your sleeve oftentimes what you're feeling. So when you're conscious of how you're standing or sitting and how you're really speaking or taking those pauses or slowing down your speech, that really matters. And rehearse your responses. You can prepare without sounding robotic. Think about it. Like if you think, if I'm challenged on this point, here's how I will respond. So I think about it all the time. Sometimes I talk to myself a lot because I'm thinking about how I'm going to respond to someone. So it might sound strange. So if you're ever driving past me in the car and you see me talking, I'm probably not on the phone. I'm probably talking to myself because I'm rehearsing something I'm going to say, because I do that a lot. But I feel like it helps me think through what I really want to say, especially if it's a high-touch situation. So one last story here is a client of mine, we'll call her Dana. Once she said she felt like a pushover with a title. She's brilliant, she's capable, but she's in a high pressure meeting that she would shrink in. So fast forward 6 weeks into working on her assertiveness muscle, and she led a merger conversation with 2 global partners. And she voiced a dissenting review of saying with a lot of confidence and having all of the data to back it up. And she walked out of the meeting with the handshake deal. So her words coming out of her mouth are, I finally felt like I deserved my seat at the table. So spoiler alert here, she always did. She just needed to claim it, and she needed to believe in herself. So here's your challenge for the week. Think of one high-stakes situation that's maybe on your horizon. How can you show up with an assertive clarity instead of a reactive emotion? Write down one assertive sentence that you would like to say. Practice it and say it. And even practice doing the pause. Practice your pose, your power pose of standing up straight or sitting up straight, of smiling, of making eye contact. Because in a world that often makes silence for agreement and aggression for strength, assertiveness is your edge. And who knows? You might have a boardroom moment that might be your biggest win ever. So if you found this content valuable, please consider sharing, please consider subscribing, and we'll see you all in the next video.